Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you some college advice because you know I'm basically an expert. I don't think that's a good mindset to have when you are in college. Be honest, this may be a hot take, then that's how you know like you need to just calm down. And I've never given this advice to anybody. This advice is more geared towards people who are about to be freshmen because I was just a freshman, but I feel like a lot of the stuff I am going to say can apply to anybody. And I'm also keeping it very like general because I think everybody has different college experiences. Personally, I go to NYU, so my college experience is definitely like not traditional, but there are like a good amount of universal things that everybody will experience at college that I've experienced. So my hope is to prepare you for it so you don't go in blindsided. But yeah, let's just get into it. I wrote a list down. I honestly have a lot of stuff written, and I also kind of tried to categorize everything. First category is friends and like making friends, developing relationships. Okay, first things first, if you want to make friends in college, you have to actually be social. You can't expect people to come to you. Obviously, it's not like high school where you just automatically know people. Depending on where you go, you may know people, but still, the people you do know, like they have their own lives. They're not going to be with you 24/7. So you definitely need to learn how to put yourself out there. And there are plenty of ways to go about this. So obviously a main way of doing this is just like joining school clubs, which I definitely do think helps. As a freshman, I feel like the initial way people make friends is to just go to all of the freshman events because usually every school has some sort of like freshman orientation. So look into what they're doing and literally just go to as many as you can because there you will meet so many people and all of those people are just like you and they're also looking for friends. But I will say not everybody you meet there is gonna be your actual friend. Don't expect like every single person you talk to automatically be your friend because most of them probably won't talk to you after that event, which is kind of crazy unless like you really like make an effort to try to talk to them. But like for instance, I remember like I went to so many first week welcome week events and I talked to so many people. I even talked to a lot of people who like lived in my building and lived on the same floor as me, but in the end like I honestly did not become friends with a lot of these people. And I'm not gonna act like I was trying to reach out to them like after the fact that we had a conversation or two, but like they weren't either. So just know like after the initial meeting, nothing's gonna happen unless you try to make something happen. Unless the other person really liked your vibe, then they'll probably try to reach out. But with that being said, if there is someone that you met that you found really interesting, reach out to them because most of the time the other person might not reach out because I don't know, maybe they're just shy or maybe they didn't think you liked them or maybe this person just doesn't remember you or like you didn't stand out that much because let's be real, like at these events you're meeting so many people, it's kind of hard to keep track. So if you meet someone that you really liked and you think you for real would like get along with, reach out to them because that's literally how you make friends. Don't be scared. Honestly, I wish I reached out to more people because it would have made making friends a lot simpler and easier, but I'm such like an introvert and I've never been the type of person to make the first move. So if you're not reaching out to me, then we're not talking. That's like how I am, and I don't think that's a good mindset to have when you are in college because if that's your mindset, you might not have that many friends unless you're just that type of person who automatically draws people in, because I have seen that. Like there are people who just automatically just attract that attention and so they easily make friends without reaching out. But just know some people aren't like that. So if you want to make friends, you got to reach out. So yeah, just go to these events, go to as many as you can. Also, when you're first meeting people, don't try to like people please them too much because I feel like that's something I experience and I've seen other people experience where you try to be exactly what that person wants you to be. Like for instance, say you hate watching movies but the person you meet says they love watching movies and you're having a conversation about this and the person's like, oh my gosh, I love watching movies. Don't say, oh my gosh, I love watching movies too. Don't say that so you can like have something in common. That will get you nowhere because like then they'll be like, oh my gosh, we should go to the movies sometime to watch a movie, and then next thing you know you're getting sucked into watching a movie with this person when you hate movies. That's what I mean when I say like don't people please. Don't try to exactly match a person's energy or interest if that is not your energy or your interest, because then you kind of like establish yourself as, oh my gosh, you're the girl who likes movies, I like movies, so we can bond over that and we'll become friends. I have seen stuff like this happen where people get stuck in friendships because one person just wasn't completely honest about their interest or what they're looking for in a friendship, and then they get stuck in this friendship and then they're like, how do I get out of this friendship? Because now this person thinks like we're on the same level when it comes to interest and personality wise, but like in reality they're not. So be honest when you're meeting someone someone. Don't try to play yourself up, and obviously don't try to play yourself down. Just be exactly who you are, and if they don't like you, then they're not meant to be, because girl, this is college, this is not high school. You do not have to stick with all these people. Oh my gosh, I just forgot that I was doing my makeup. Okay, my last piece of like friendship relationship advice. This depends on who you are, but this is just like my personal opinion. I do not think you should go into college looking for a boyfriend. This may be a hot take, but like I feel like doing that is just like low-key a recipe for disaster. I'm not saying like you shouldn't get a boyfriend, because I know like some people just end up having boyfriends who aren't even looking, which is fine. If you meet the person, you meet the person, whatever. But I know so many people who have gone into college actively seeking for a boyfriend, and I don't know, I feel like that's just not a good way to live. Like, you're in college, yes, you should do what you want, experiment, whatever, but if you're spending all your time like actively looking for a boyfriend, like you're gonna miss like everything else that's around you. You don't need a boyfriend for college to be fun. So when you're first going into college, you should just kind of like enjoy yourself, because I feel like college is like your first taste of actual freedom. You're away from your parents. I know a lot of people like get out of relationships when they go to college because, like, you know, distance or whatever. So I feel like you should experience that on your own before you really jump into a relationship. So don't just go into college thinking, I'm looking for a boyfriend. I'm not saying that it's wrong to want a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Like, that's just a universal life goal that everybody has. Like, most people are trying to find someone to marry or be with for the rest of their lives, but don't go into college thinking, oh, this is my time to find that person. Because I don't know, I feel like that's just not good for your mind. Again, like, if you end up finding a boyfriend like without even looking, that's great. I know plenty of people who have done that, but just know everything happens for a reason, and the person that's meant for you will come at the time that they need to come. So don't try to like force anything. Don't try to chase after boys, because honestly, every college boy, especially all the freshman college boys, are a big no. Most of them are not looking for relationships, so just be careful when it comes to that. I don't want you in a situation that you don't want to be in, so just slow down, enjoy life, and everything will happen the way it needs to happen. Like, I still have so much stuff to talk about, and I'm like almost done with my makeup. Oh, okay, let's talk about roommates. I only have a few points about this. Be honest with your roommates from the beginning, because you will be living with them for a good minute. Like, even if you're living with them for just a semester is longer than you think, especially when it comes to living with a person. You will see them every day. You will be sharing their air. So just be honest with everything that's like bothering you, which I know can be hard because sometimes like you don't really want to offend the other person, but like you gotta be honest if something's really bothering you. And I think like in every ideal situation, you should try to be friends with your roommate, but I can totally understand that like sometimes you and your roommate might not get along in that way. So like you can't really be friends. Like, I've seen so many situations where like people hate their roommate because they were like chose randomly, and they just cannot be friends because their interests and personalities don't mesh well. But in the beginning, I definitely like recommend trying to do stuff with your roommate to see if you can form some sort of bond, and if you can't, that's fine. But I mean, you don't know unless you try. So try to offer to do things with your roommate, and if they don't want to do things with you, then that's their problem. At least you tried to put in the effort to say, hey, I tried to become friends with you. But I hope that if you do have a roommate, like hopefully you chose each other and you like each other in some capacity. Again, like I said earlier, like with the whole friendship thing, don't try to match exactly who your roommate is when it comes to personality and interest. If you don't have the same personality or interest, like be exactly who you are. If you don't like movies and your roommate loves movies, don't tell them that you love movies, because you guys are living together. So your roommate's gonna talk to you about movies all the time because they're gonna think, oh, she likes movies, that's something we have in common. But in reality, you don't like movies. So just be honest when it comes to who you are. Like, don't try to pretend to not be who you are because you're living with this person. But obviously, like, be respectful too, because like you don't want to be like, I hate movies, movies are dumb. Don't hate on what they love. Just be like, oh, I don't really watch movies, like I'm not a movie person, and then that's the end of that. But be exactly who you are, because eventually this person will figure out who you are. Like, by the end, if they're observant enough, they will know like every single detail about you. So keep that in mind too. And obviously, like, be respectful. Like, you're living with a person, be respectful, have common sense, set ground rules, and don't go against the rules, because like nobody likes that. And just be considerate. I feel like that's all common sense to me, but like I feel like sometimes people are inconsiderate without like realizing it. But you know, everybody's different, so always just be mindful of what you're doing in the room, because again, you are living with someone. And then my last little advice when it comes to roommates is just choose wisely. I know every college kind of has like different systems of pairing roommates, but if you're able to pick your person, just choose wisely. Don't pick the first person you meet on Instagram. Like, make sure you really filter through your options. But also, if you're choosing a roommate that you found on Instagram, be careful, because let's be real, a lot of what people post on Instagram is fake. What people post on Instagram is like the best versions of themselves. So don't just automatically automatically assume what you see on Instagram is what you're gonna get in person, because it's not. But that's just something to remember. Like, everybody is their best self on Instagram. So when you're choosing a roommate, remember that you're not gonna be seeing this Instagram feed every day. You're gonna be seeing the actual real side of that person. And I feel like when you're picking a roommate, you're not thinking about that. You just think, oh, she looks cute, her Instagram feed looks cute, like she would be a good roommate. No, that's not how it works. So make sure, like, when you are picking, you really ask the nitty-gritty questions, have a few phone calls, ask the uncomfortable questions, because you don't want to learn the answers to the uncomfortable questions after the fact you already picked the person. So yeah, choose wisely. Okay, next category is grades. First things first, the workload is going to be crazy compared to high school. I don't want to say it's necessarily harder. I think it kind of just depends on what you're doing, but there is just going to be a lot more work. I will say ChatGPT will be your friend. I'm not saying to use it to cheat and like write your papers, but you can definitely like use it to help you. But obviously using ChatGPT is a personal preference. So if you really don't feel comfortable using it, you shouldn't feel pressured into using it. But with that being said, most, if not all, college students use it. Again, you shouldn't use it to cheat, but if you're stuck on something, it won't hurt to use it, because like you won't be the only one doing it. So why be behind when everybody else is already ahead? And a lot of professors like are cool with it. Like, they just don't want you to like have it do all your work, but they like accept it because they know there's no way around it. So in the syllabus, they'll like state their policies when it comes to using ChatGPT, but just like be smart about it. Don't copy word for word whatever it gives you, and obviously don't rely too much on it. So if you're like morally just going back and forth between if you should use it or not, everybody uses it. Professors use it. Even if they don't want to admit it, I'm sure they do use it. So just use it. Like, I really do think it's a good tool to use, especially if you're stuck on something and you have no one else to ask. And I feel like it's no different than like Googling an answer. Okay, let me like do my hair. I'm just gonna do 2 French braids because I still have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I know this is gonna take me a minute to do. Okay, I think this is the most important piece of advice when it comes to grades. It's okay if you don't have perfect grades, because quite literally nobody cares about your grades. Now, if you know that you want to go to grad school, then that may be a little bit different, because I think you have to have a certain GPA to get into grad schools. So I'm not really speaking too much on that, but you don't have to have like straight A's. Now, if you want straight A's, like, okay, go for it. But I feel like doing that is so hard unless like you're just naturally gifted at school. So if there's a point where you are stressing about grades, then that's how you know like you need to just calm down. Like, just know that it's fine if you don't get an A. It's fine if you get a B. It's fine if you get a C, because in the real world, jobs do not care about your GPA. Like, right now, I can tell you how many people have asked me what my GPA is. 0. Like, nobody actually cares. So there's no need to like stress out about grades. Oh, my arms hurt. I understand that like sometimes parents like can get to you when it comes to that stuff, but like you don't have to tell them your grades either. And I know like everybody's situation is different, but like it's not their business. And if you have a bad GPA and your parents like want you to have a good GPA, I mean, I'm not condoning lying, but literally just tell them you have a good GPA even if you don't have a good GPA. As long as like you're not failing and like on the verge of getting kicked out of school, then like it does not matter. And also, I think parents are not allowed to call the school or the university or whatever and ask for their child's GPA. Like, that's like against university policy. So universities like cannot give out any of that information to anybody, including your parents. It's like doctor-patient confidentiality, but like with the university. But with all that being said, it does not matter what your grades are. The only thing that matters is that you are trying your best, and if you're trying your best, then you will be fine. Like, life is too short to worry about getting a C in college. Also, listen to Rate My Professor. If you don't know what that is, like, it's basically where people rate professors on a scale of 1 to 5. And so when people are picking classes, they look on Rate My Professor to determine whether or not the professor is good. I will say like a lot of it can be biased, but if the professor has a good amount of negative reviews, just stay away from them. Don't think it's like just a few people out of hundreds of people, because that's what I did for one of my professors. It was honestly only like 10 reviews, so I was kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm sure they'll be fine. And it was a class that I really wanted to take, but this professor just was not my favorite, and I kind of wished I listened to the reviews. So when you are choosing professors, really try to listen to the Rate My Professor ratings, because a lot of them are accurate. And then finally, when it comes to like assignments, try to come up with a system or a spreadsheet to keep up with all of your assignments, because as I said earlier, you are going to have a lot of work and sometimes you're going to forget certain things are due. So just try to like find a way to keep track of all your assignments. My first semester, I made a spreadsheet that I put all of my assignments into, because at the beginning of the course, your professor will give you a syllabus, and on the syllabus will have all of the assignments that will be due. So I went through all of those and made a huge spreadsheet. Now that took me forever to do, but it was very helpful. And then during my second semester, I did not make a spreadsheet because I was too lazy, and I kind of wish I did make a spreadsheet. I mean, I was fine, but like it just would have been easier if I did make a spreadsheet. So if you're struggling to figure out how to keep up with your assignments, I definitely recommend that. Oh my gosh, also I want to say, like, not everybody does all the readings. You're probably gonna have a lot of readings, like just random things to read for class, and not everybody's gonna read them. So don't be stressed out if you didn't read anything. Just ask ChatGPT what the reading was about, and then you'll kind of have like a general idea of what's going on. Okay, next category is major, like choosing your major. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this. Not that I'm an expert because I'm only a sophomore, but I want to give advice based off of everything that I've just seen and experienced. When it comes to your major, I feel like a lot of people are just overwhelmed when it comes to that. Personally, I know what I want to do. Like going into college, I knew what I wanted to do, and I still want to do that. So I'm very lucky that I was able to figure that out pretty early. But just know that it's okay to go into college like not knowing what you want to do. Literally, like during welcome week, like the first thing you ask someone is like, oh, what's your major? Like half the people I talked to did not know what their majors were. But it's okay if you don't know what you want to do, and it's okay if your major ends up changing by the end of freshman year, because a lot of people think they know what they want to do at the beginning of freshman year, but then once they start taking classes in that field, they're like, I don't actually like this. Just know that it's okay if your major changes. Like college is made to figure out what you want to do. I will say, like, probably by the end of your sophomore year, you should know what you want to do so you can really focus on it. Also, you should have an advisor that you can talk to just help you out with your major. So make sure to take advantage of that. Like tell them what's on your mind when it comes to everything involving your major, because that is their job. They just advise you through college and help you figure out what you want to do. If you're trying to figure out what your major should be, I know this is like a big decision, and depending on like who you are and like what your situation is, you might like have some pressure on you to go like one direction or another direction. But personally, I think you should always choose doing something you love over something that'll just make you easy money. For instance, being a doctor. Obviously, I'm not saying it's easy at all, but like that's just a career that everybody goes into thinking like, oh, it'll be like probably one of the easier ways I can get rich. But like being a doctor requires so much work. So if you don't love it, I just don't think the whole process of becoming a doctor and then being a doctor for the rest of your life is worth all of the money if you're going to be miserable the whole time doing something that you don't want to do, especially since that's a career that takes up so much time. Currently, I'm majoring in fashion business. When you first hear that, you're like, fashion business? Like, how are you even doing that? That must be like hard to get into, because like it is such like a, I guess, niche job. But just know, like, I'm not the only person doing fashion business. Like, it's not a common job, but it's not like nobody's doing it. Like, there are plenty of people who are doing this major, and there are plenty of jobs in the industry. Like, there are so many jobs in every industry, not just fashion business, but in every industry there are so many jobs that you don't even know exist. Like, I have learned about so many jobs that I could potentially have that I didn't even think were options. And also, like, new jobs are constantly being created. Like, I've had so many guest speakers in my classes, and I've had some say like my job wasn't a job, but they created it just for me. So if you want to get into an industry that seems out of reach and you feel like you probably won't end up finding a job in that industry, I think you should do it. Like, if that's something you really want to do, because finding jobs in general will always be hard, no matter what industry. Even if you like go into like one of the easiest industries ever, like the job market can be so like up and down, but eventually you will find a job. If you're properly educated, if you work hard, and if you make the right connections, you will find a job in whatever field you want to get into. And no matter how low the job is, from there you can always go up. Like, I've heard so many stories of people starting so low, so at the bottom, and now they're making like 6 figures. But just know, like, if you want that to be you, you just need to work hard at it, and that's just for any job. So if you're picking between like 2 jobs, like being a doctor, a lawyer, something more like traditional that'll get you that wealth, or if you're thinking about going into a field that isn't as profitable, just pick what you know you would love to do and that you would want to do every day for the rest of your life. And if your goal is to make a certain amount of money, you can make it there with whatever career you want to do. You just have to work hard. And also, like, I feel like in this day and age, a lot of people do side hustles anyway. Like, as you get older, I feel like this is something you think about more, but don't just assume that whatever job you get from this major is gonna be your only source of income, because a lot of times people have multiple sources of income. If you see someone who seems really successful and you're like, oh my god, I want to be just like them, like I want to have their job, I want to have their lifestyle, just know that they probably have other sources of income, which obviously Obviously, like if you're a freshman right now, it's not really like a big thing to think about. You can think about that later in life, but just know that your major is just one way to make profit. I don't really know how I got to talking about this, but like back to what I was initially saying, pick whatever you love to do. Don't worry too much about the money because the money will come. You just gotta be patient. You gotta work hard. Okay, last piece of advice when it comes to your major. This is so random and I've never given this advice to anybody, so I don't even know if it's like good advice, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. If you don't know what you want to major in, think about like something that you enjoy doing right now that you've enjoyed for a long time. For instance, I'm doing fashion business, and obviously like I have my YouTube channel and I do like social media. With all that into play, like that's kind of where I see my life going. Like I want to continue doing this, but I also want to get into fashion, and that has something that has always been a constant in my life. I was actually thinking about this the other day and it like kind of blew my mind. When I was younger, I would constantly like just dress up. I would wear my Halloween costumes when it wasn't Halloween. I would follow random makeup tutorials. I would dress up like characters that I would see on TV. I would do that all the time, and I would also do little OOTDs for my mom. Like I would put on a cute outfit even though I had nowhere to go, but I would put on a cute outfit and I would be like, Mom, you want to see my outfit of the day? And like I would show her my outfit of the day. Fast forward like 10 years later, I still do that. If you follow my TikTok, you know I do an OOTD like almost every day. But looking at all of that, that is like kind of what I'm trying to pursue right now with my major, and it's something that I've always enjoyed. I've always enjoyed clothes, I've always enjoyed makeup, and I'm like still to this day enjoying it, and I can see myself enjoying it for the rest of my life. So if you don't know what you want your major to be, try to think back on your life and just think, what is something that I've constantly enjoyed? Because if you've constantly enjoyed it for all of your life up until this point, you will probably enjoy it for the rest of your life. But yeah, that's that advice. I've never given it to anybody, so maybe take it with a grain of salt, but I think it's good advice. Okay, I'm gonna pick out an outfit real quick, but we will still talk. But that's like all the advice that I have when it comes to picking a major. Now we have like one last category, which I just labeled as random because I didn't really know where to put any of this. First, if you're living away from home, you will probably get homesick, which I know you probably don't want to hear, but you probably will. Personally, I did not think I would get homesick at all because I'm not too fond of where I live. I don't want to say it sucks, but I low-key like live in the middle of nowhere, and I live in the South, which can be interesting. But I did find myself homesick, not exactly like for where I live, but like more specifically just like for my actual house and my room and my family. Like I missed all of that. So there is always going to be something at home that you miss, but I think it's important to know that your home will always be there. You were there for years, now you're moving on to something else, which is exciting. You should not dwell too much on home because like you were at college. This is like the beginning of your actual life. Just know that your home will always be there, and honestly not much will change while you're gone. Literally, I call my mom like every day and I'd be like, what's up? What's new? And she'd be like, nothing. Home isn't gonna change. Home is always gonna be there. After college, if for some reason you're still super homesick, you can always go back, but don't dwell too much on home because you're at college. You should be making the most of it, and you can't make the most of it when you're thinking about what's going on at home. But also, you will have so much going on that you're probably gonna forget that you're homesick. Most of the time you'll be doing homework or hanging out with friends or just doing life, but every now and then I'm sure you will have your alone moment and you'll be like, oh, I miss home. I think the way to get over that is to keep yourself busy. I need to pick an outfit. Okay, I'm feeling these linen pants. I think I'm gonna wear this shirt. It says tastes like strawberries. Okay, let me change real quick and then we'll continue. Okay, outfit is on. Let's not look at my toes. I'm gonna put on some jewelry, spice her up a little bit. Okay, next, say yes. Obviously within reason, but like if someone offers like, hey, we should do this, just say yes, because that is how you make friends. I guess I could have put this in like the friendship category, but I do think this can apply to other things besides friendships. Like if you get the opportunity to study abroad, or if you get like some sort of internship opportunity, say yes. Like that's how you make friends, that's how you make memories, and that's how you figure out who you are as a person. Like saying yes to certain things, and maybe like in the end you won't end up liking whatever you're doing, but at least like you know, like that's not what I want to do. Or maybe you'll even find something that you end up loving just because you said yes to whatever situation that was. Obviously listen to your instincts. If someone asks you to do something that's like sketch, don't do it. But if the situation doesn't seem sketchy, say yes, because college is the time to make memories, and the way you make memories is by saying yes. Okay, what else? Stick to your values and don't let people change you. Again, you'll meet a lot of new people. This kind of goes with the whole people pleasing thing I was talking about. Sometimes people will people please and go along with certain things that they don't agree with just to make friends. But if it's like not something you agree with, if it's not something that's a part of your values, do not change them just to appease other people. Don't change for anybody. Make time for self-care. You're gonna be stressed a lot in college. It's just how it is. I think it's important to find time for yourself to do whatever you enjoy doing, whether it's hanging out with friends or having a night by yourself. Find something that serves as self-care to you and make time to do it, because it's important to care for yourself, take your health seriously, take your mental health seriously, because a lot of people get sucked into the fast-paced life of college, like constantly doing homework, staying on top of your grades, getting internships and working jobs and clubs and activities. Like with all of that, it can be easy to forget like, oh, I am a person and I need to care for myself. So always remember to take your self-care seriously and like set certain boundaries so you don't overwork yourself. Okay, and then the very last piece of advice that I have is that nobody actually knows what they're doing. It's normal to feel like you don't know what you're doing in college. Like it feels like everybody else has their life figured out but you, and that's like not even just a college thing, it's also just like a universal thing. And when you get into the real world, like post-college, you will feel like that too. But just know everybody around you is just as confused as you are. They don't exactly know what they want to do with their lives, and you're at college to figure it out. And that's quite literally what life is. You're just trying to figure it out one step at a time. But just know that it's normal to not have everything figured out. I feel like some people think like, oh, I'm in college, I'm not in high school anymore, like I have to know what I'm doing. No, that is not the case. It is fine if you don't know what you want from life or where your life is gonna go, because nobody else around you knows either. But yeah, that is all the advice that I have. Those were like the initial things that came up in my mind when I was making this list. And obviously my advice can only help you so much, but I hope that it does help you some. If you're someone who's just now going into college, I hope you enjoy it. It honestly will be such a fun time for you and it'll go by so fast. So just enjoy it while you can and make the best of it. Your first year is definitely like a time to figure out who you are and what you want, and by the end you will learn so much. If you want to see more of me, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If there are any questions that you have that I didn't address, ask them down below and I will be happy to answer. But I hope the rest of your day is amazing and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye! I'm not a pro, but I am insightful.